Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 62, here with my always brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, how you doing today, bro?
Doing pretty well, man. Happy to be back talking fights with you. Looks like there's actually some on the slate, so excited about that.
There are actually some on the slate. Here is what's on tap for today, folks. First, news and headlines, starting with a question for Fight Geek. After that, we are going to do our full UFC 249 breakdown and picks. We are going to break down UFC 249 a week early. Why? Because there's cards on May 13th and May 16th, and we got to break those down next week. So yes, you will get the full 249 breakdown tonight. And after that, it's my favorite section, listener questions and more. But Fight Geek, let me start off with this very quick question for you. Ariel Helwani said earlier today that he just finished having an in-depth interview with Robert Whittaker. Whittaker discussed his upcoming fight. This has no date, by the way, with Darren Till. And I'm just curious, plain and simple, far out, right now, gun to your head, Darren Till versus Robert Whittaker, 5-round main event, let's assume. I want to know who you got and how.
I mean, that's a real tough one. Robert Whittaker has kind of, had a tough run of it the last few years physically, so I'm not quite sure where he is. And I feel like Darren Till's confidence is kind of ascending again since beating Kelvin. So I might actually take Darren Till in a point fight there.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. I'm a big Robert Whittaker fan, obviously, always have been. It's hard for me to agree with you. I don't want to agree with you. I certainly like Robert more than Darren, although I like them both. But I think that Whittaker is going to be a little bit outsized. I mean, Till is a gigantic man. I don't know how he ever made welterweight, and I could see him either catching Whittaker clean or winning a point fight, sort of via Stephen Thompson versus Till style, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably, in my opinion, would be more towards the latter. I don't see Rob getting caught. He has taken a lot of shots, has a fairly good chin. And Darren Till, even though he did stop guys like an older Cowboy Cerrone and stuff, he hasn't really shown a lot of stopping power in some of his better matches, such as, the Wonder Boy fight and the Kelvin Gastelum fight. He was more technical in those fights and didn't really show like a killer's instinct. So I would think more of a Wonder Boy-esque fight.
Yep, agreed with that. Okay, so I'm not going to waste too much time. We're going to now jump right into the UFC 249 preview and picks, because after that, Fight Geek, we've got my favorite section, listener questions and more. And I think we can both agree, I know I say this sometimes, or I know I say this a lot, but seriously, the listener questions this week, Fight Geek, episode number 62, I'm going to remember this, these might be overall the best ever.
Very strong, that's for sure. You can tell everybody's had lots of time on their hands to think about potential fights and daydream up questions. So thanks for all of those. Lots of good ones. Can't wait to answer them.
Absolutely. So guys, it is now time for the UFC 249 picks. Let's go. Okay.
You just jinxed it.
Oh, whatever. It's happening. Oh my gosh, what if it doesn't now? Ooh, okay, so
this will be another episode that never makes it out.
Oh, it's coming out tomorrow, but oh man, if I jinx it. Okay, so the main event, Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. Fight Geek, you can start this one off. Who you got and how?
Oh, lucky me. I get to pick first?
You get to pick first, and then we'll switch off.
This is a fight I don't even want to pick. I know I say that every now and again, but just a fight I'd want to sit back and watch and just kind of take in. Gosh, there's so many variables in breaking down these fights, especially this one with the situation.
Ferguson's extra weight cut.
Yeah, extra weight cut. Gaethje taking the fight on somewhat short notice, obviously with the coronavirus and everything on lockdown, things have been bizarre. So just really, 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 really hard to get a gauge on this fight. But with that said, I'm just going to take a flyer here. Tony Ferguson gets hit a ton, and Justin Gaethje hits really hard. So I'm going to say Gaethje catches him.
Woo! We got our first little upset.
I mean, anything could happen. I truly could see Tony winning, but just right now, who knows? Percentages say Tony's due for a loss, and I think he's bit off just a tiny bit more than he can chew this time in Justin Gaethje.
Okay, so how do you what round is Gaethje stopping him?
I think probably he clips him. I mean, if you look at the way Lando Venata was able to get his hands on Tony.
That was a million years ago.
It was, but other guys have definitely hit Tony. I mean, I think Cowboy Cerrone and Anthony Pettis were hitting Tony pretty cleanly before Tony kind of took over in those fights as well. I think that Justin Gaethje at this point in his career definitely packs more punch in his hands than they do. And his leg kicks are brutal. I think he has the defensive wrestling to kind of nullify it, keep it standing, and then I think he may just be able to land that one extra punch. But who knows? He could also just drop his head into a darce. Who knows? Yeah. But yes, I'm going to take Gaethje by flash knockout.
Second round,
yeah.
Okay, very fair. Yeah, look, I don't think you're crazy at all. I
feel crazy saying that.
Really?
Anytime I pick against Tony Ferguson, I feel crazy. But yeah.
I mean, okay, first and foremost, it's worth me saying I am so much more nervous for Tony now than I was had this happened on the original 249 date in April. Justin.
Why? Because Justin's had a few more weeks to.
Yeah, Justin's had more weeks. Justin's had a few more weeks, I think, which are a few key weeks, in my opinion, to train more. And Tony did do that extra weight cut, which.
That extra weight cut definitely could be a contributing factor to him getting, flash dropped in my scenario as well. That extra weight cut is just insane, and we touched on that quite a bit last week.
Absolutely. So here's my opinion on the fight. I think that it is an extremely dangerous fight for Tony. I think it's extremely close, like really, like way too close. And I think that it's going to go one of two ways, personally. I think that either Gaethje's going to knock him out and sleep him in the inside of the first 5 minutes, or Tony's going to win, period. I think it's catch him in the first 5.
So you're saying either Gaethje or Tony's going to win?
No, I'm saying if Justin doesn't knock Tony out inside 5.
I'm just giving you a hard time because you're sitting squarely on the fence with that answer.
No, but I haven't made my pick. I don't want to call making my pick, Fight Geek. My pick is Tony Ferguson via 4th round submission.
Very, 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 very likely scenario. You're making me feel bad about picking Justin against Tony already, so let's just keep it moving.
Let's keep it moving. We've now got the bantamweight world title. Henry C. Cejudo, I feel silly saying that, okay, versus the Dominator, Dominick Cruz.
Coming back off almost another 4-year layoff. Just completely absurd.
So...
One thing I'll say, though, do you like this fight better than Henry versus Aldo?
That's such a good question, man. Oh, man, what a good question. I think that this is a sketchier fight for Cejudo.
No way. Not sketchier. I think Aldo would have been a more dangerous opponent, but I certainly think that Dom Cruz is the more deserving opponent, considering his physical ailments, and his last fight was versus the champion. So
okay, well, so I'm glad you said that. So let's jump into that, because you disagree with me about who's more dangerous for Henry. This is why I say that I think Dominic is more dangerous than
You think Dominic is more dangerous than the former featherweight king?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, this isn't being fought at featherweight. You're making it sound like this is a featherweight fight.
Featherweight, but Henry would have been giving up size there. Henry's going to be the more powerful man now.
Cruz has reach, he has height, and he's got a humongous movement advantage.
You have no clue what his movement advantage looks like. Against Cody Cody Garbrandt, he had plantar fasciitis and wasn't moving like himself.
I mean, Garbrandt fought one of the best performances of anyone I've ever seen. I mean, that was
against the Dominic Cruz, who had plantar fasciitis. It made him look very good. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Okay, you sound like the McGregor fans who say that his foot was a balloon. His foot was a balloon.
I'm just saying, if your sole skill is your defining skill is movement, you have plantar fasciitis in your feet, your movement is not going to be 100% that night. Did Cody look great? 100%. Best performance of his career. But I mean, you haven't seen vintage Dom Cruz movement in 7 or 8 years, dude. So what makes you ready to bank on it now?
You're making it sound like I'm taking Cruz, and I'm absolutely not. I've got Henry Cejudo.
Just wondering.
Henry Cejudo for the win.
He's more dangerous.
Henry Cejudo for the win. Ready? By second round knockout.
Ooh, that'd be brutal for Dom.
It would be.
I think Dom is smart enough to see the finish line. I'm taking Henry Cejudo. Actually, this is a 5-rounder. Cejudo really hasn't been pushed late into championship rounds yet. If Cruz can push this fight into the championship rounds, he could win a point fight, in my opinion. But with that said, Henry Cejudo, 3rd round TKO.
Okay. And if anyone thinks that we ever are planning this ahead of time, planning our picks ahead of time, you heard Fight Geek literally almost change his mind to Cruz in mid-sentence. I was scared you were about. I was like, are you changing your mind?
One fight that, sometimes I'm less transparent. This is a fight I'm not going to be very politically correct about. I want Cruz to win. I want the Triple C era to end. You know what I'm saying?
So do I, but it ain't going to happen right now.
He has done nothing to defend his titles. He came in, claimed he saved something, and then did nothing to uphold it. I mean, the whole Triple C thing is...
Wait. No.
His title reign has been a farce.
I'm really glad you brought that up. No, I'm glad you brought up a very quick point here. You said that Henry Cejudo saved the flyweights and then he did nothing. And I've heard this from many people. Oh, thanks a lot, Henry. I thought you were saving the division. So much for that. Yeah, he saved it. And then, what, is he married to it forever? Did he give vows of marriage for all time to the flyweight division? No, he saved it and he moved on. What's the big deal?
I'm just saying that the Triple C era has not been the most enjoyable era, in my opinion. He barely fights, and he handpicks them when he does.
Okay, well, listen. Francis Ngannou versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This is going to be
a firefight, huh?
A big firefight, and it is your turn to pick.
What if it turns into Ngannou Lewis too?
And I have heard so many people say that, and it is like... Oh my gosh, give the man, can anyone make a mistake in their entire life just one time? And there's Jones fans saying this. Imagine if you're a Jones fan and you criticize Ngannou for one bad performance.
Again, just throwing fighters in there for unnecessary reasons. John Jones's resume completely squashes Francis Ngannou.
Okay. Now you're just, that has nothing to do with what I said.
Francis Ngannou by 1st round knockout.
Yeah, listen, I've been hearing a lot of people saying, oh, this is going to be close. I've actually been seeing a lot of people taking Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and I just want to go on the record.
I don't think it's going to be that close. I thought Jairzinho Rozenstruik looked bad versus Overeem up until he landed a couple big punches. He was completely losing that fight.
Of course. And I was just going to say, to be clear, guys, I don't know why anyone thinks Rozenstruik has a chance, but let me go out there and set myself up for potential humiliation. Rozenstruik has no chance in hell.
Well, he has
no chance. No, he doesn't.
Sure.
No, he doesn't have a puncher's. You've got a puncher's chance against non-punchers like Ngannou. You don't have a puncher's chance against Ngannou. No, you don't.
Well, I don't think Ngannou has shown a weakness in his chin at all.
Ngannou will be the heavyweight champion soon. Just wait.
Yeah.
So anyways, Ngannou inside one round.
Okay, we agree there. Let's keep it moving.
Calvin
Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Qatar. This looks like another firefight. Exciting. What do you got?
Yeah, this is Calvin Qatar versus Jeremy Stephens is a really hard fight to pick. It's that fight it's one of those fights where Obviously, my first thought is to go and pick Calvin to win because obviously he's got the brighter future. He's the young gun with this, the sexy name, blah 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 blah.
Prime fighter.
But Jeremy Stevens is so damn dangerous, and he's made his career off of so many upsets in these types of situations. So
Exactly.
Stevens could easily pull this off, but I don't think he will, and I'm going with Calvin Kattar by unanimous decision.
Yeah, I actually am going to go with Stevens here. I think that Qatar has a tendency to get into like slugfest and kind of trade, and I do not think you want to trade with Jeremy Stevens. I think you want to stay on the outside and really kind of point fight him and find your spots. You don't want to have a lot of exchanges. So I'm going to take Jeremy Stevens by second round knockout in an upset.
Ooh, okay. You know what? And I can see that. So I would actually give a quick shout out to all of the Vegas bettors out there. Gambler's Delight is potentially that underdog Stevens pick. Is that fair, Fight Geek?
Yeah, I think so. It kind of reminds me of when Stevens was fighting Emmett, and Emmett was the higher ranked guy. Stevens was coming off a couple tough performances, but you get that guy in the right exchange, and he will put a serious hurting on you.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving on to Anthony Showtime Pettis versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I'll be honest. I'm just going to come out there and say it, guys. I cannot believe Cowboy is allowed to fight again so quickly after two horrendous losses in a row, 3 bad losses in a row, and now he's.
Well, I mean, Pettis is not much different other than the.
Pettis lost a decision to Nate.
Yeah, and he also was losing to Boy before he landed a Hail Mary, and was losing the fight before and losing the fight before. I mean,
wait a second. You can't. Pettis had an amazing moment knocking Wonder Boy out cold and won that completely.
He had an amazing moment, but if you go back and watch that fight, he was losing every second of that fight.
I mean, we can sit here and talk 55 hours if we want to talk about who was winning a fight. I mean, Frank Trigg was winning the rematch against Matt Hughes until he lost in the first round. Who gives a shit?
Who gives it?
I'm saying, what does that matter? Right?
What does it matter? It matters because when gauging.
So is Frank Trigg the champ because he was almost winning for half a round?
No, but whenever you look over a 4 or 5 fight span and you have similar performances that are lackluster, and then there's one little blip of hope, which is his Wonder Boy knockout, I don't think that it shows a super promising outlook. But with that said. Gosh, I don't even know who to pick in this fight.
I don't either because they've both looked so friggin' bad lately. And
it just seems like, Anthony Pettis just can't even see the final bell in any of these fights. So with that said, I almost have to take Cowboy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see, and I hear you completely, and that's where I was going with this. But if there's one thing I think I know, it's that Donald Cowboy Cerrone ain't winning many more fights. I mean,
but Anthony Pettis
that 246 performance, I don't even want to get started on 246, but I had a party of casuals here. I've never been so humiliated in my life. Building up Cowboy, he's really going to give Conor a fight, and then Cowboy shoulders him, and he's just done. He's had quite enough.
That was a disappointing performance. All right, enough of this.
Anthony Showtime Pettis is going to defeat Cowboy Cerrone by second round stoppage, okay?
And I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth and agree with you. I'm going to take Anthony Showtime Pettis here. I think that there may be some mental.
Wait, didn't you just beat Cowboy?
I was leaning towards.
Did I just change your mind? Guys, I just changed Fight Geek's mind.
You didn't change anything. I was just making a case for Cowboy. But
hashtag mind changed. Hashtag
he really had nothing to offer McGregor, so it's hard for me to really go off of that performance.
I mean, and I don't want to bash Cowboy, but when we say he had nothing to offer, I mean, like when we say he had nothing to offer, I mean, I think it's fair to say you would have lasted as long as he did in that fight.
Yeah, he didn't land a strike.
Right. I can't see Cowboy winning.
I have to take Anthony Pettis too.
Yeah, Cowboy.
Just too quick of a turnaround. I think it's time for both of these guys to really start considering hanging it. But that's just my personal opinion. Not many fights for either after this one, for sure.
Well, and I think what's so awkward is, really quickly, I think what's so awkward is we know that if there's one person who's not going to retire easily, it's Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, he's going to make BJ Penn's losing record look like a
Well, it's
12
not
fight winning
necessarily the
streak.
losing record, but I mean, do you think him taking all of his damage late in his career is going to be something that we see him wearing pretty? If you look at guys like, I hate to call him out, but you look at guys like Don Fry and Dan Henderson and these guys that were brawling from back in the day and how they're looking later on in life, and it just seems like they're aged pretty significantly from their fighting careers. So that's the one thing I worry about with Donald. When are they start pacing him a little bit?
Yeah, I think we both know that Cowboy is not going to pace himself, and the question for me is what kind of a losing record does he get before he retires? I'm not saying that necessarily will start now. He may get a few more wins before that final losing streak begins. But the question is, so let me ask you this, Fight Geek.
Well, he's on a 3-fight losing streak now. So are you saying that this is his losing streak that will end his career?
Not necessarily, but if you want to make me guess, I'll say yes. All right, you make me guess? Yes. And how many, let me ask you this, Fight Geek, how many fights in a row does Cowboy have to lose before the UFC cuts him? That's fun. Tell me that one.
6.
More. They won't.
No. He's lost 3 in a row. He would have to lose 3 more. This one to Pettis.
Dana still wouldn't do it.
One to a fringe top 25 guy. Then if he loses, he'd get an unranked guy as his retirement fight, a la Brad Pickett, and that would be it if he lost it.
Okay. 6 honestly might be fair. I was going to say 7 or 8, but okay. All right. Anyways, moving on.
And Anthony Pettis is 2-4 in his last 6. What if he loses here? What do you think?
I mean, you know me. I'm a big fan of people retiring to keep their legacies intact. I think BJ Penn damaged his legacy irreparably beyond repair. He used to be.
That goes without saying.
I mean, but he used to be talked about as one of the all-time top 5 fighters. Now, if you were to bring him up in the top 5, you get laughed out of the room.
If you're judging BJ Penn's resume from start to finish, no, he's not one of the all-time greats, obviously, on paper. But if you're judging prime fighters at their absolute apex, BJ Penn in his prime still registers as one of the top 5 lightweights of all time.
No doubt. That's absolutely true. But how can we possibly rate people based on their, one moment in time? I don't think is a
What about their one moment in time? It's like you could rate his title reign and how, there's no doubt about it that a prime BJ Penn would be in the top 5 of the division right now.
What's his record? 16-14? My God.
Yeah, but at one point I think he was like 14-2 or something.
So I know what you're saying.
He took the dangerous fights. He fought at a heavyweight. He won the belt at 170. So, yeah, I mean, lay off the BJ Penn hate.
He's still an all-time great, of course.
His legacy is tarnished much after the fact, similar to a Chuck Liddell getting knocked out by Tito recently. I mean, who cares about that?
No one even. I don't even count Golden Boy MMA.
That's what I'm telling you. I don't even count BJ's last 5.
You have to.
You
have to count.
No, you don't. No, you don't, because I count up until he retired after losing the second Frankie fight. Anything after that, coming back for the third Frankie fight, was just madness.
Fair enough. Okay, we got to go through the prelim fights, but let's do them really quick because we've got so many great listener questions. Fabricio Verdum makes his return. Boomerang Boy. He threw the boomerang at Colby. Fabricio Verdum versus Alexei Oleinik. Who you got?
Ooh.
We got to go through these fast, though, because we got a lot of listener questions.
Match. Can't go against Fabricio Verdum here. He's been out for a couple years from the UFC, dealt with some issues. I'm sure he's super excited to be back. Probably going to be a big performance by him. I actually take Verdum by stoppage with the hands here.
Okay. I really hate to play the upset bug guy, but I am taking the human anaconda, Alexei Oleinik, in a huge upset, 2nd round submission.
You have him submitting Fabricio Verdum.
I knew you were going to go crazy on that one. I'm well aware of Verdum's ground game. Why did I just say gigantic upset? You take these picks.
Impossible upset.
Oh,
You're just throwing your money away there. Keep it moving.
Okay. All right. Don't bet on that fight, guys. Okay, Carla Esparza versus Michelle Watterson. Go.
Oh, man, this is another tough fight. Great fight card. Can't wait to get these fights.
I got Esparza, baby. I got Esparza by decision, unanimous decision. She's going to keep taking her down. You know she is.
I think the size here will be a little more favorable for Watterson than her past opponents. So I think she'll be able to defend that takedown a little better than she could previously. I'm taking Watterson by decision.
Interesting. Okay. Now we've got Uriah Hall versus Jacare Souza. God, this is a stacked card, I must admit. I've got Uriah Hall via third round TKO late.
No, what? Uriah Hall struggles late in the fights. I'm going to take Jacare via late first round submission. Hall will get tired after he can't land something. He'll lose his balance in a scramble to the ground, over with.
All right, we disagree there. We've got Vicente Luque versus Nico Price, a rematch.
Oh my gosh, what a great fight. Nico Price via really tight split decision.
Luque got him the first time, and I think he can get him twice, and I hate to say it because I love Nico. He's so cool on Twitter. He's such a cool guy. I hope he doesn't listen to this. I don't think he does, but I got to take Luque via second round sub.
Not happen.
He submitted Nico the first time. He can submit him again.
It was a lifetime ago, and both of their trajectories are going in different directions.
It was 2017. It wasn't that long ago. But okay. Bryce Mitchell versus Rosa. Who you got?
Is it Charles Rosa?
Yes.
Again, another close fight. I like Bryce Mitchell, but Charles Rosa is very good. I'm going to take Bryce Mitchell here by second round submission.
Ooh, I got Bryce Mitchell by split decision.
Hashtag split podcast.
And then the final fight, Span versus Alvey.
Oh gosh, Sam Alvey's fighting. That should be a stinker. I'll take Span by stare off decision.
I agree. Span by horrendous unanimous decision in what will be a terrible fight. That's the only one on the card that won't be good.
It is an unbelievable card. Can't wait for that to happen.
Oh, yeah. No, it's going to be fantastic. And really quick, so guys, we're going to take a really quick break, and we'll be back with listener questions. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 62, and it is now time for my favorite section, Listener Questions!
Solid delivery there, Phil.
Thank you.
All right, I got one queued up already. I'm going to jump off.
Go ahead.
Jump off with from Q at Orthodox 1993. Quinn.
What's up, Quinn?
He says, "Hey boys, best quarantine pastime." Go ahead.
When I saw this, I wasn't sure which joke to make.
I was right there with you.
Printing out a picture of my favorite porn star and putting it on a pillow and pretending I have a girlfriend is one of them. No, bad joke. Can we cut that?
I'm not gonna touch that.
Can we just cut that? Let's cut that out. Okay.
Absolutely not.
No, okay, you better. Drinking is probably not a responsible option either. And sitting on my ass playing video games isn't. But joking aside, Quinn, what I've done recently that's really helped, really helped with the COVID-19 depression is going for a run every day. Every morning I wake up, I live right next to a golf course, and I run, and I run into all this goose poop, and all the goose poop gets into the traction of my shoes, and there's all this goose poop in my shoes when I return home. But it makes me feel so much better. Ever since I've started doing this, I do it daily now. I go for a 3-mile run early in the morning. Highly recommend it, guys. Go outside, get a run, keep your social distancing, but get that exercise in. It's more important than ever now.
What is that, a commercial?
Just relax.
Goodness gracious, you done over there?
Okay. Wait, okay, what's your big, great
What's my
one?
socks? No, I'm going to have to, mine's pretty clearly, I have a smoker in the backyard, so I smoke meats, pork butt, pulled pork, brisket, smoked burgers, all that stuff. I've been eating quite a lot in quarantine, so smoking and grilling in the backyard is definitely my pastime.
All right. Very nice. Okay, so this question comes from a Split Podcast OG. That's Jacob Powers at Jacob Powers 2. And Jacob says, what's your guys' favorite season of Tough and why? And when all the COVID-19 stuff is over, could Fight Island be used for future Tough seasons where instead of just a house, they would all just get an island? Hashtag AskSplitPod. So I'll just start off really fast. Yes to Tough Fight Island. Yes. Not only do I want a season, I want the rest of the show there, period. Fight Island, Tough, yes. Favorite season? I'm going to have to go with the Faber-McGregor coaching season because...
You would.
Oh, whatever. Oh, you're such a hater. It was some great drama between the two.
You probably name one fighter from that cast.
Huh?
You probably can't name one fighter from that cast.
Artem Lobov, your move. Name another. Name a second. Who?
Kara for France.
Oh. Damn it. Okay. Fine.
Brandon Moreno. Season, you don't even know the names.
No. And by the way, I'll happily admit it. Look, I have seen most Tough seasons. Do I remember most of the characters?
There's like 25 of them. You've seen at least 15 of them.
At least what?
I said there's like 25 seasons of it. You've seen at least 13 of them?
Yeah, around there. Maybe 10. Fine, 10.
So season 1.
Hang on. So you're saying season 1? That is such a artsy little trying to be
it's a
cool.
cliche pick, but
yeah, that is so cliche. Look
true.
at me, I'm Fight Geek. Look at how artsy I am. Oh, season 1 was. That's like saying UFC 1's your favorite event. Get the fuck out of here. You're such a little artsy
True.
guy.
I think the Tough 1 season has the most stars that were produced out of it. I may be wrong, but the most memorable stars in my opinion. But again,
Did that have the Forrest Griffin Bonner final?
Yeah.
That's an overrated fight. Let me just say that.
I'll agree. In red, it's overrated. The act was a little sloppy, but in the moment that was great.
Yeah. It was a great fight. Okay, so moving on to our next question. This one is from Rhino, Combat Sports with Rhino. What's up, Rhino? He says, my bros, Phil and Fight Geek. What alumni from the WEC that's still in the UFC has the best chance to still have a string of W's in their career? Late career win streaks are not the norm, especially in the lighter weight classes. So, who you got? Hashtag AskSplitPod.
Such a tough question because you have to rack your brain to figure out who from that era is still active. You have to find who could still fight. So, I mean, immediately of Jose Aldo, I don't know.
So you're saying Jose Aldo?
Yeah, Jose Aldo was from the WEC. He's a little older. I believe he could probably win a handful of fights. I was going to take him versus Cejudo, so yeah, for me it would probably be Aldo. What?
Yeah. And let's just take 1 second, Fikey, because for the past 4 minutes you've been breaking up like completely. If we can try and
It's fine, dude.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah. So for me, Fight Geek, I think this is actually a deceptively easy question. Who from the WEC alumni is going to win this thing? Well, that would be TKZ, aka the Korean Zombie. Because guess what?
That is a great choice.
I think the Korean Zombie is still going to be champ. So the Korean Zombie, baby. He going right.
I changed my answer. Great pick. I had forgotten about him, but that is a great pick.
Yep, Korean Zombie. Okay, next. Got a question from a reusable shoe. That's at reusable shoe. He is a Split podcast OG original gangster. Been with us from the beginning, guys. Give him a follow. He's the man. He says, "Do you guys think Dom has a chance at beating Cejudo? Also, with this first card being so loaded, what are the chances the next 2 cards fail to deliver as much hype as 249? Take us away, Fight Geek."
I'm not following producing enough hype because I think people are going to be, so pumped that fights are back regularly this week with this is exciting. Card 49 step. So I think that people are going to be excited when they watch for the upcoming fights. I don't think it'll have much effect on that personally. What was the first part of the question?
Yeah, the first part of the question was, does Dom have a chance at beating Cejudo?
Oh, yeah, I think he has a chance for sure. And I laid that out earlier where I feel like if he gets that fight to the later rounds, maybe steals the round in one of the first 3, he has potential to win the last and maybe win a 48-47 decision versus Henry.
Ooh. Okay, so I agree with you, by the way. I think Dom definitely has that decent chance at getting that 48-47 decision. If Dom does win, it's not going to happen via stoppage. It's going to happen, in my opinion, via decision, via outpointing Henry over 25 minutes. And yes, he's got a real shot at it, reusable shoe. So does he have a real shot? If that's what you're asking, the answer is yes. In regards to
Henry's been active as well, so it's not like Henry's going to be super fresh. He's coming off a layoff of sorts and an injury that he recovered from, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's been gone for nearly a year. I remember because I saw Henry Cejudo win the bantamweight belt in the United Center in Chicago in June of last year. I was there, so it was a while ago. I live in California now and have for a while.
Okay, got another one?
All right, so the next question is, and then really quickly for reusable shoes, second part of the question, what are the chances that the next 2 cards fail to deliver as much hype? So he's referring to the May 13th and May 16th cards. The May 13th card is headlined by Lionheart versus Teixeira. The May 16th card by Overeem versus Harris. We still have no idea what the full cards are for those 2 events, which is insane to say this close. It's insanity. And I think that there's absolutely no chance that those are going to be very, very, stacked besides those headliners. It's worth noting there is a 4th card in May on May 23rd. We do not know what is headlining that, but I don't want to talk about that because we've got a great listener question later regarding that one. Okay, moving on. This is from Mixta Man, at Mixta Man. I love Mixta Man. He's great. He really is, guys. He's a very genuine dude, very funny, very clever. Give him a follow. Here's his question. He says, how do you see the lack of traditional training camps impacting the upcoming fights in the next few weeks? Are there going to be more upsets? Go ahead, Fight Geek. Take us away.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking quite a bit. Everybody else is going through what we're going through. It's a strange time. It's not a normal time, so guys and girls aren't going to have the normal training camp, their normal rep. It throws more variables into the fights. I think it opens the door for more upsets, definitely. I think it's just going to be a little more madness than usual. I definitely think it'll lend itself to that. What about you?
Yes, the short answer is yes. I think there's definitely going to be strange results and a lot of upsets due to the nature of this. I also think there's going to be more weight misses. Well, we're going to see. We'll find out really soon. I think more people are going to miss weight. And, it's going to be a strange environment. Take Anthony Lionheart Smith fighting Glover Teixeira. Anthony Smith thought he was fighting earlier in Lincoln, Nebraska, in front of a home crowd. Now he just fended off a drugged up burglar breaking and entering a few weeks ago, who he had hand-to-hand combat with. He got bruised up over that. Now he's fighting Glover in front of nobody, literally zero crowd in Florida somewhere. So how is that going to affect his psyche? Who knows? But that's just one experience. I mean, that's just one example.
Exactly, and then just to piggyback off your example, Anthony Smith is a guy who has kids and feel about leaving his family in quarantine time and dealing with that additional of being away and things like that. I think I heard something about Matt Mitrione's been quarantined from his children for a while now to do with fighting or something. I didn't read the whole article, but I know that they definitely will be put through, some pretty stressful situations, especially if they have, like families and stuff.
Matt Mitrione is still in a Bellator related. Has he educated himself on how long the quarantines are? They're supposed to be 2 weeks. 2 weeks, not 2 years, Matt. You've gotta read that one. Couldn't you see? I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like Matt Mitrione, if anyone would accidentally quarantine themselves from everyone for 2 years, it would be Matt Mitrione.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. So, do you got a question lined up, or am
Sure, I got one from Cyrus King.
Cyrus, what up? Cyrus.
He says, if Henry Cejudo dominates Dominic Cruz, do you think Henry Cejudo will get the respect he deserves? If the answer is no, who else does he defeat to get the ultimate respect from the fans? You want me to take this one, or you want it?
Yeah, you can start us off.
Yeah, I mean, do I think he'll gain from beating Dominic Cruz? Sure, he'll gain a small bit of respect, but he still really needs to defend versus the elite of that division. The guys who have deserved the Aljamain Sterlings and the Peter Yans of the world, in order to really get that respect that he's like dominating and owning his division. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I also think if there's one thing that I have learned, and the best example is Tyron Woodley, right? Woodley defended his belt 4 times and won the belt. He defended it for the first 3 times and won it inside of 14 months. Then he took a little bit of a break, defended it again. And people still hate him. I mean, he's kind of a joke now. And he's the 3rd best welterweight of all time. So one thing that I know is that if people hate you, they're going to hate you. And that's it. And Cejudo is not liked. Take Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman had one of the greatest welterweight performances in a tough fight I've ever seen, coming back against Colby Covington. He gets filmed during UFC 246. They film him, and the crowd is silent. You could hear a pin drop. Not a single person applauded him. He is despised for some reason, and I don't think it's fair, but people are going to make their decisions up, and that's it. And Cejudo is the cringe king, and that's what he's got now. That's his thing now, and I don't think people are going to warm to him. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's not going to get popular.
I mean, I think he has a following, but I agree with you to a certain extent.
Because look at Usman. I mean, what do you think of the Usman thing? I mean, I'm shocked, to be honest. I didn't like Usman before the Covington fight, and even I thought it was disrespectful to not hear a single clap at 246 when they filmed the champion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know about all that. I think it's just a thing. I think that he's a little clumsy on the mic. He said some strange things in the past, and he's a predominantly wrestler-based fighter. If he came out and knocked 3 big names out in a row, I think that he could be get it in a different way. But I just think he's kind of pigeonholed himself in an uninteresting, interesting.
Okay, all right. Next question comes from Vic the Dick. That's at Victorious1612. He says, first of all, how are y'all holding up? Any surprising issues that came up for you because of the virus? Second, what fights are you most looking forward to that have to happen before 2021? Hashtag AskSplitPod. Fight Geek, you want to start us off?
Any issues that come up during quarantine? Probably just the 50 pounds of weight I've added from eating nonstop, being locked in my house. So I would say that initially is the biggest problem. Fight I'm most looking forward to by the end of the year, I'm really looking forward to Joanna versus Weili 2. That's a fight I really want to see.
Yeah, so I'll answer the second part of that question first. I have two fights, and they are both rematches, and they are not Zhang versus JJ2, although that fight has to happen also in 2020. But the other two that have to happen in 2020, in my opinion, are Jones versus Reyes 2. Jones is trying very hard to get the Jan fight and not agree to the Reyes fight. Per Dominic Reyes, Reyes says that the UFC wants the fight and that he wants it and Jones does not. So I'm going off Dominic Reyes. Take it for what you will. But I would love to see that rematch this year. And then, second of all, I would love to see Usman versus Covington 2. First of all, because the first was such a great fight. Second of all, because it really, unfortunately, and very disappointingly seems that Colby is in fact not taking his UFC career seriously at all. He said he's looking forward to transitioning to WWE in 2021. So it sounds like he's got maybe 1-2 fights left at the most. Very disappointing stuff. Made me lose a lot of respect for him for sure. But then you've got to give him that Usman fight before he goes off to fake fighting.
Sure. Okay. Let's keep it moving. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
I got one from Fighting With Myself podcast. He asks,
Juice, what up?
He says, fight announcements have slowly been trickling in for the May 13th and May 16th cards, but no main events to his knowledge.
He's actually incorrect. Sorry, that's awkward. He's wrong. May 13th is Lionheart versus Glover. May 16th is Overeem versus Harris. He was mistaken there. And then he said, in that case, what about the May 23rd card, May 24th card? That's the one that we don't know about.
How about May 24th, Dustin Poirier versus Wonder Boy?
Okay. Oh, did you just completely make that up out of the most random thin air? How'd you get that?
Well,
tell me you're thinking to get that fight.
Well, Poirier's been online talking about wanting a fight and potentially moving to 170. I think Wonder Boy's kind of in that strange middle ground where he's not going to get a high contender in that class. So that'd be a fun fight to headline a card with that would generate some interest. These are strange times, man. Strange matchups.
Yeah, and I was actually going to say, look, it's a really hard question. I mean, things are so chaotic, it's not even funny. I mean, we all know that right now. But I would think if they're doing a May 24th card, I mean, I would think it could be Woodley versus Covington. Now, I mean, again, it's sounding like Covington maybe is not so serious about his MMA career anymore. He's getting into fake fighting. Or I'm sorry, not fake fighting, fake wrestling. I'm sorry, fake wrestling. But it sounds like that's the route he's going. But hopefully we get Woodley Covington for that card.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Okay, so by the way, I'm just joking to my WWE friends. Don't get upset at me. I'm just poking fun, just poking a little bit of fun. Okay, Vinny at Vinny198442. Oh, he doesn't really have a question. Never mind. Okay, he was just giving me a comment saying can't wait to listen. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you. I really appreciate that, bro. Okay, do you have a question lined up, or should I go?
I got one from Dean R, show regular.
Dean is the man. Dean is so loyal. Every week he sends a question. Dean the man, what up? Special shout out, Dean.
He asks, if UFC 249 goes down with so many great matchups, which prelim fight and main card fight are you guys most excited to see? So go ahead.
So in terms of main card fight, I'm obviously most excited for Ferguson versus Gaethje. Now that doesn't mean that I'm happy it's happening, but I'm so obsessed with making sure Ferguson versus Khabib happens. It will be nothing short of disgusting if that fight doesn't happen, which is unfortunate because I like Justin Gaethje and now I'm rooting against him so hard. which is unfortunate. But yeah, oh my gosh, I wish nothing but failure on Gaethje that night. Nothing but total failure. And I hate saying that because I like him.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then the prelim. Hall versus Jacare.
Hard to disagree with either of those, but I will go ahead and say I agree with the main event, and then Nico Price versus Luque should be a fun action fight.
Yeah. Got to agree there. A great question. Okay, this is from my man Dave Fretz, the very talented artist Dave Fretz. That's at Dave Fretz. He says, all right, guys, looking at Cejudo versus Cruz. Beyond this, what do you think is next at bantamweight? Does Aljamain get the winner? Peter Yan? The top 5 in this division right now is fire, in my opinion. Yan stands out, but what are your thoughts? Hashtag AskSplitPod. So, start us off, Fight Geek.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I want to see Yan versus Aljamain Sterling as a true number 1 contender match. Now, I know a lot of people think Aljamain Sterling deserves a chance to fight for the title already. And I know Peter Yan has been climbing the ranks as well, but I don't think either of them have that cherry on top to really say that they're that championship contender. So I think those two versus each other would be a great matchup.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm not one of those people. I hear a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, it's so insane that Peter Yan hasn't gotten a title shot yet. No, it's not. It's not. Cry me a river.
Yeah, his biggest victory is knocking out a 40-year-old by a favor. I mean, he's shown a lot of promise, but it's not like he's climbed the ladder step by step yet.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's a whole lot of Peter Yan fans that are, and there's nothing wrong with this, that they're not actual Peter Yan fans because honestly, there's not that many. They just hate Henry, which is understandable, and so they're hoping that Henry loses.
And there's also Cody Sandhagen in that mix too, who's definitely a title contender. He's right outside of those two, so I mean, I think you have a really solid top 4 for sure.
Yeah. But in any case, I agree. I think they should make Sterling versus Yan as a title eliminator, and then maybe you fit in that Aldo fight. I mean, just because it was made, it feels weird if it doesn't happen. I mean, that fight was made, and now it didn't happen simply because of coronavirus. So now it almost feels awkward.
So, side note, what does Cody Garbrandt ever make an appearance in the top 5 again in that division?
Well, Cody Garbrandt, according to him, is going to fight Rafael Assunção, and then
I understand that, but is he going to be the type of fighter moving forward that you can bet on being in that top 5, which is what you probably assume for the next years when he won that belt?
Well, you cut me off. I was going to say he's fighting Rafael Assunção, and then he's going down to flyweight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's what he says, at least.
Cutting more weight is not going to help that shit.
Yeah, I mean, Cody ain't exactly the brightest tool in the shed. So, the truth is I feel very bad for Cody, and I see a dark future for him, a very dark one, which I take zero pleasure.
Have you seen his wife? His future looks fine.
Hey, you know what? Good point.
Exactly.
Good point.
Don't hate on a man with a wife like that.
True words maybe have never been spoken. That man won. That man can lose 80 times in a row. He has won.
Exactly.
Okay. This is from Giggsy G18, my man, Giggsy G18. He says, where do you see Cruz going after he bends the knee? Where do you see Cruz going after he bends the knee to Triple C? And my answer is, if he bends the knee to Triple C, he's going to the broadcast booth. He's calling it a career for sure. And I really think he should. If he loses.
For sure. I could definitely see him doing something like DC does in that detail show where he uses kind of his mental acumen to kind of break down to the masses and the mainstream. I think he has a big career in that moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, moving on. This question is from our good friend, MMA Assault, at MMA Assault 1. Hi guys, it's been a while. Okay, firstly, is there a world record for watching Fight Pass, and how do I apply? Secondly, with Coach John Wood training Cowboy, do you think this will have an impact on his game, or is it a case of can't teach an old dog new tricks? So I'll start this off really fast. If there's a world record for watching Fight Pass, I would guess that it would probably go to Kaposa, but MMA Assault, you're a lot cooler than Kaposa. That's not a record that you want to be trying to take on. You're a good guy. I've seen you and your wife. Your wife's beautiful, so don't worry about it. You're doing very well, man. Okay, that got into weird detail. But we're going on to the second part of the question. John Wood is training Cowboy. Do I think that this is going to help? No, I don't, MMA Assault. I think, like you said, if there's any example of can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I don't mean this as a diss, that would be Cowboy. I mean, Cowboy is literally the old dog who is not just an old dog, but like, you know the Cowboy is gonna cowboy.
Right, the book is written.
He's not. He's not changing shit.
Out with head kicks. He's susceptible to the body. I mean, the book is out on Cowboy. I do think it's interesting that he is training with John Wood, but I don't think he will have enough time to honestly implement any serious like changes in style.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, I believe that we have answered all of the Twitter questions. No. Fight Geek's giving me a sign like I'm not on top of it. I'm on top of it, Fight Geek. I know we have more, but they're audio questions, so we're going to go in order here. Unless you got a...
Are you sure?
Non-audio? What's a non-audio one? Non-audio.
Yes. Did you answer Zane Bando? Did I miss that one?
Zan. Oh my gosh, bro. Yes, of course we did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Zan's the man, Zan. Zan's the man, Zan. What up, bro? And okay, so we've got, this is from the Godfather himself, Jim Asoon, and I will play this question right now.
What's going on, you bunch of fucking casuals? Hope you're all doing good. Yeah, I'm running out of questions, actually. What was it? Oh, yeah. These next 3 cards, Dana says he doesn't know if they're all pay-per-views or how many are pay-per-views. He couldn't give that guy a response. What do you guys think is going to happen? I can see, just UFC COVID, fucking May 9th is a pay-per-view. We know that already. The Wednesday, I can see that being a fight night. And then the following Saturday, having that as UFC 250 or something like that. That's my thoughts. I don't know. That's just Dana, right? You know what I mean? He's a money-hungry bastard. He don't care if he's all out of work or not. Anyways, that's my question for you guys. Keep up the great work. It is always 420. Peace.
I love Jim. All right, thoughts, Fight Geek.
No, you answer it.
Okay. So, the answer is, do I think there's going to be another pay-per-view in May 13th, May 16th, May 24th? My answer is no, and my second part of that is, gosh, I hope not, because honestly, I understand that Dana is very pro-capitalism, and that's great, and capitalism is great. I'm not here to diss it, but Dana, if I'm being honest, it's already kind of a bad look to be charging, $70+ for a pay-per-view in the middle of a global pandemic where the U.S. is likely facing another Great Depression, frankly. Not exactly the classiest move to make a pay-per-view. I think it would have been really nice to make that card free on ESPN. So if the May 13th and 16th cards are pay-per-views, that would actually be comical. No one will buy those. Oh, Overeem versus Harris, $70.
On a Wednesday night.
Yeah, Lionheart, Teixeira, Wednesday night, $70. Sounds great. Where do I sign up? No. And then May 20. So, I think Jim's got a great point that if there's going to be a second pay-per-view, like a UFC 250, it will be that May 24th card. I do not think that it should be a pay-per-view. I think that Dana has to have a little bit more respect for the consumer audience, the fact that they're not all millionaires. In fact, I don't think that most target audience MMA fans are multimillionaires. So it just seems like Dana's being a little tone deaf there, frankly. And my guess is that May 9th, UFC 249 will be the only pay-per-view of the month. What do you think, Fight Geek?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I just don't think it's feasible to ask your audience to pay for, 2 fights that would technically be like a 3-week span, right? So
yeah,
I just don't see that happening.
I don't either. And now moving on to our second audio question sent to the Split Podcast email. This is from OG, original gangster of the program, Jalen Ware. Shout out, Jalen. And I just got to give a really special shout out to Jalen, man, because he always brings original and just fascinating questions. Jalen, we really appreciate you, bro. Here is Jalen's question.
How's your week been coming, fellas? I appreciate you guys for taking my call. My question is this. If Gaethje beats Tony next week, and then be the first to ever beat Khabib, does this make him the GOAT of the 155-pound division? Or does his losses to Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier via finish stumps that?
And Jalen, I hope you forgive me. I cut off your question just a little early because Jalen gives his opinion on that, and I wanted to see what you would say because Jalen's too good at this. I don't want him to influence you because he's too good at this with his reasoning. So what's your answer?
So the question is, Justin Gaethje be the GOAT if he beats?
If he beats Ferguson and then he beats Khabib, is he now the lightweight GOAT? And honestly, I think it's a very, very fair question. What do you think? Justin's
I'm thinking about it. It is a tough question. I'm pondering. Okay?
See, doesn't Jalen bring the fire like every time?
I'm going to go ahead and say no because he doesn't have the depth of resume, but it would certainly put him top 5 all time for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely, totally agree. It would skyrocket him.
He would be above like the Henderson. Where would you still? I mean, would you rank Frankie Edgar's title run better than what Gaethje would have done at that point?
Honestly, I would put Gaethje 2 behind BJ Penn.
All time? Khabib's yeah.
But Khabib would have lost
in this scenario for sure.
Yeah, it's such a good one. It's such a good question. What a great question. But
yeah. But I would have to say probably not.
Right, probably not. But do you agree with me? Would he be number 2, or is that too high?
Well, if that situation were to take place, it means that Connor's probably sitting on the side, winning a fight against Nate Diaz or something, and then would have the opportunity to fight Gaethje also there. So he would have to be Connor in that scenario as like the third head to really solidify himself as like the best lightweight of this generation.
Yep. Completely agree there. And what a fight that would be then. Talk how big would McGregor Gaethje be at that point. But moving on, now we're going on to the audio questions from Twitter. And this one is from our main man, Kairos. Guys, give him a follow. That's at Kairos MMA. He's also got a great YouTube channel. Make sure you give him a follow on YouTube as well. Here's his question.
What's up, guys? Back. Here's my question. Who gains more from this win? Dominic Cruz or Henry Cejudo? Some might argue Henry because a lot of people say that he's not the bantamweight GOAT, but he could be. Some might argue Dominic because they say his championship reign is illegitimate because of all the injuries, so he wasn't able to defend it as much as someone else. I'm in between. I don't know who gains the most from this, but also who has the most to lose with losing this bout as well.
Great question. Fight Geek, you want to start us off?
Clearly, Henry Cejudo has the more to lose here. He's
Agreed.
The prime fighter. He's the one with the belts. He's the one calling his shots, handpicking his opponents. It would be much more detrimental to him to lose here. Dominic Cruz is at this point playing with house money. He technically has a title shot he doesn't necessarily deserve. It's based off name value and, his previous accomplishments. So with that being said, definitely, I think if Cruz were to win, he has more to win. Henry has more to lose. Cruz has more to gain. Cruz can solidify himself as an all-time great
He's already an all-time great.
He is an all-time great, but to come in and slay Henry Cejudo in his prime after Henry has beaten Dominic Cruz and TJ would certainly elevate Dominic Cruz in the eyes of some of the people who aren't familiar with his accomplishments because they've been so disguised by his injuries and his layoffs.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think that Cejudo has even more to lose. I think that's been kind of exasperated by the decision for Henry to abandon flyweight altogether, right? Not defend the flyweight belt. So now he's really not triple C anymore. He's really double C. And you could technically not even count the gold medal if you want to be a jerk about it. But I digress. Point being, if Henry Cejudo loses this, he goes from triple C, double champ in the UFC to beltless.
Yeah, no brainer. He has the most to lose here. Cruz has absolutely nothing to lose here. A loss to Henry Cejudo doesn't affect his legacy or his resume at all.
Yep, totally agree. And we have now got a question from one of my all-time favorites on Twitter. That's at Jake Irish MMA. Jake Minstrels, guys, give him a follow. That's at Jake Irish MMA. He has never sent in an audio question, but he did it this time. Fight Geek, here it is.
Hey guys, my question to you for this episode is, will you be putting any bets on this UFC 249 card? I asked this question to Juice and he gave me a very good answer. I'd like to hear what you have to say on this topic. Stay safe and enjoy the fights.
All right. Thank you, Jake. So I can just speak for myself really quickly. Long story short, I lost so much money back in December on UFC 245. Let's not really talk about it. It's still pretty hard for me. But yes, I have put a parlay on Esparza, Ngannou, and Cejudo. So that is what I'm playing.
Interesting. And me, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I think
thanks.
with the variables, with the current situation in the world, I just think it's impossible to get a clear gauge on who will show up on fight night. So for me, I will not be betting. I'll just be enjoying the entertainment.
Okay. All right. So no reward without risk, no risk without reward, and you're playing it safe. Okay, got it. Fight Geek playing it safe, Phil being the brave risk taker. No,
you mean broke?
Yeah. Okay, actually, yes. Yeah, that is kind of what it is. Okay, now we've got a question from @_Don Lu. That's @_DONLU. That's Don Lu MMA. Don, what's up? And I'm so happy to say he is another one who is sending his first question overall, and he's made it a voice question. Guys, we love the audio questions. They're really fun. And here is my man Don's question coming up right here.
My question is, do you think Tony Ferguson will be healthy for this fight?
All right. I like it. Short and simple. Sweet,
healthy,
short and simple.
Yeah, I think he'll be healthy, but I'm still worried about that weight cut. You know,
I think that's what he means, though. Well, this
okay, yeah, healthy. Do I think... I mean, I just don't see how cutting weight twice in a 4-week period is not going to affect you, especially considering Tony Ferguson could probably fight it at welterweight pretty comfortably. So yeah, I do think he will be diminished a tad. Will that be the difference? I don't know.
Yeah, I hate to agree with Fight Geek. I truly do, Don. But I think he's got a good point there. You know, in terms of healthiness, and I'm guessing that you meant, you know, regarding that weight cut. I think that he's not going to be 100% healthy in terms of his chin and that weight cut. But do I think it's going to affect him drastically? Well, we're going to find out. But I already bet no. I already picked Ferguson. Fight Geek picked Gaethje, so Fight Geek thinks that Gaethje's getting that W. I don't think he will. Even with this extra unnecessary weight cut, I think Ferguson's just too good at finding a way through. But moving on to our last question. I thought we were done with questions, but we just had one come in 12 minutes ago, and I'm a big fan of including them right before the bell. This is from Bro Exotic. That's at Rob Hein, at ROBHEINN. He says, this is a great question. How do you guys feel about Cowboy saying he wasn't prepared mentally versus Conor? Do you think it'll affect him in his future fights? And Fight Geek, just really quick recap, because this just came out. Not sure if you saw it. Cowboy was speaking with Brett Okamoto earlier today and said that he did not show up for the Cowboy fight mentally. He said Donald showed up, not Cowboy. And when Brett said, how early in the day did you feel this way? He said, 2 days before, which I thought was a very puzzling and disappointing answer. I wasn't
100%.
like
I mean,
what a
that's just an excuse.
It's a huge excuse, and it's
the guy,
a little pathetic.
He had title opportunities where he didn't show up, and then this was another huge opportunity for him, and he didn't show up. nobody's interested in those excuses. I wasn't myself. No, you were yourself, and you got dispatched in 40 seconds.
Yeah, and this is I totally agree. And just really, really quickly, we're about to wrap this show up, guys, but this brings me to a connected point. A lot of people after UFC 246 argued, did Cowboy quit or did he not quit against McGregor? Obviously, right, Stephen A. Smith kind of said he quit, and that got a bunch of backlash. A lot of people said Cowboy doesn't quit. And for the record, it all depends on how you define the word quit. Do I think that Cowboy truly gave up the second that he got his nose broken? Of course not. No, he didn't. Of course he didn't give up. But did Cowboy then get pushed back against the fence, take a few bad punches, and then go down and wait for the fight to get stopped 20 seconds later? Absolutely. And if you argue no, then you're just arguing against reality.
Well, there's so much more that goes into it.
You can go and look at the video. Guys, it's on video. It's not up for debate.
Right. But again, there's so much more to it. It's not just that you're getting hit and you're getting surrounded.
But he did turtle up and wait for it to be stopped.
But that's Conor McGregor on top of you with the whole world cheering him on.
In 20 seconds, after 20 seconds.
But what I'm saying is it's probably didn't feel like a situation he was going to be able to come back from, considering the situation, who was in the cage with him, and where he was at that time. So, yes, at that point, did he cut his losses? More than likely.
And what's interesting about Pettis versus Cowboy is it's between two guys who both have a history in the past of when the going gets tough, they get out of there. Pettis.
Well, that's what I was alluding to earlier when I was saying Pettis rarely sees the end of a fight.
When Pettis starts getting into a street fight, he is talking to his coach from Milwaukee, whose name is evading me for some dumb. Duke Rufus. I'm sorry. Thank you. He goes, Duke, I want out. I quit. I surrender. I remember that Tony fight. That was not good. But so it's going to be interesting. Which one are they both going to try to quit? Is one going to quit? It'll be interesting to see because they're both known a little bit for quitting when the going gets tough. I'm not trying to be harsh, but
no, I think that's fair. I think the term quitting.
When I mean quitting, I mean giving up on winning. I mean giving up on winning. Giving up on winning, which is quitting, isn't it? But yeah. Anyways, no, I don't think Cowboy quit against McGregor 246, but did he take a dive?
Let's give Conor some credit here too. Conor came in with all his energy and his aggression. And
Cowboy didn't take a dive. I'm sorry, I just have to clarify that. Okay, it's time for me to stop talking.
Can we end the show already, Phil? Goodness. What do you need to say?
No, I'm done. I think we both know that. Okay, Fight Geek, take us away, baby.
All right, guys. As usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. Just a shout out, we are available on iHeartRadio now for anybody who's interested in that platform. You can find me at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We are at Split_podcast. That's 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Peace.